friends. Today, I want to share a couple of gift ideas for you for this holiday season. Hopefully somebody has sent you this video and has said buy something from this video. Otherwise, just for my regular viewers, I've put together a list of art supplies I would consider gifting to an artist. I have budget options all the way to like more expensive, nicer options and things to steer clear from. I don't want anybody to run into the unfortunate situation of having a loved one want to buy you something artistic but have absolutely no idea what to buy you and then end up getting you something that's really not good quality and that you're not going to use. Let's get into it. My throat is messed up right now. I'm sorry about my voice, but this video needs to be made because we have to buy things. It's the time. First off, I just want to say where to buy from and where not to buy from. Firstly, I definitely recommend buy from your local art supply store in town, like a local small business, obviously. But then we have some other good options online. There is Blake Art Supplies, which is a really large retailer for art supplies. They're good quality and oftentimes at really good prices. Jerry's Artorama, Jackson's, and Amazon. It's funny, Amazon has great prices and good shipping, so we have to include it in the list because it's an accessible place that people can get art supplies. I'm gonna say right now, stay away from Michael's and Hobby Lobby. A lot of times they're extremely overpriced and they don't have the best quality of supplies. If they do, they're marked up so highly. Even with a 40% coupon, you're probably gonna find a better deal elsewhere. There's no reason to buy from Michael's or Hobby Lobby. General good quality supplies to keep an eye out for if you don't buy from my recommendations are Holbein, Caran d'Ache, Derwent pencils, Prismacolor, Copic, Gamblin, even Strathmore. If there's anything you disagree with me about in this video or anything that you'd like to add, please leave it in the comments and be sure to check out the comments and leave criticism, feedback, likes on things so that, you know, the comment section can be useful for the people that are trying to actually order art supplies. Brands that I would avoid if I were you would be Crayola. There's no reason to buy Crayola. Royal and Langnickel, too many misses for you to risk it. Winsor & Newton, same, too many misses. Very expensive for not the best quality. Everything in this list is something that I've tried and enjoy or have heard others rave about. I also have a lot of trendy items that are good quality so that you could actually be giving fun, trendy art supplies to your person. Let's start off with pencil. That's my main focus and my main love. So I have a lot of good recommendations here. Pencil is extremely affordable and safe, so I definitely recommend if you have absolutely no other idea of what to get your person, get them something for pencil drawing. My budget suggestion is the Pentel Graph Gear, either in the 0.3 or 0.5 millimeter lead size if your artist draws smaller, and then 0.7 or 0.9 if they draw a little bit larger. The Sakura Retroco pencils are super cute. It's a little bit harder to find. There are definitely stationery shops that sell them, and you can definitely buy them online with free shipping. Everything will be linked down below. Anything that has an asterisk by it will have affiliate links, but in general, I've just linked the lowest price for you that I could find. The Prismacolor color erase pencils are definitely one of the it girls in the art community. They're great for an artist who uses watercolors or markers, and they're very inexpensive, so definitely a gift that would probably be very welcome. Lastly, if you want to do a classic graphite route, I would recommend the Staedtler pencils. A set of 12 is good quality and pretty basic. You can't go wrong with it. Pencils are not very expensive, so the higher budget items are not going to be very expensive at all. The Faber-Castell Clutch drawing pencil is great for artists that like to draw larger, and if you buy the pencil, I would definitely recommend getting the refill pack. Lastly, if you want to buy something bougie, the Blackwing pencils are just kind of luxe and fun to have. They're nothing necessarily special in terms of, you know, performance versus the other cheaper options, but they're pretty luxe in the art community. What I recommend you staying away from is sets. I'm going to talk about that quite a lot in this video. Don't buy anything with like a big set of pencils. They're generally pretty cheap. You could find something much nicer for the money. Sketchbooks for pencils, I have a couple of recommendations. If the artist sent you this video, it's probably because they like my sketching style, so these are my specific preferences, but what there is to understand is there are rougher and smoother types of paper, so if your artist draws smaller, I would recommend smoother paper. If they draw much larger, I would recommend rougher paper. My first budget item is the Strathmore marker paper. It is marker paper, but I love it because it is extremely smooth and thick. It's super cheap. You can get 6x8 pads or 9x12 pads, whatever you prefer. I also recommend the Strathmore 400 series Bristol paper. And lastly, if you're looking for a budget option for a sketchbook, I recommend the Talon's 8x11 sketchbook. It's good quality, it feels really nice, and it comes in a bunch of cute colors. My mid-tier would be the Pentalic 9x12 Traveler's sketchbook. I love this sketchbook, and it's very comparable in price to the nice sketchbook. I only put it in the mid-tier versus the nicer tier because the one in the nice tier is one that I really love, and I think your artist would also really love. That is the Moleskine Art Collection sketchbook. The paper is so thick. It's the one that I've been using recently in all of my videos to draw. I love this sketchbook, and I think your artist would also love this sketchbook. Moleskine is a very trendy high-end brand. What to stay away from? Strathmore sketch paper specifically. It's super thin, rough, not good quality. Any paper that is thinner than 70 pounds. Now this isn't a rule that paper won't be good quality, but if you don't know much about paper, just stay away from the ones that are thinner than 70 pound. Rough paper that's small, it means that if you're drawing small, you're probably drawing detailed, and you want smoother paper for drawing smaller. Lastly, spiral bound sketchbooks. They're just uncomfortable. I'm left-handed, so I hate using one, but even if you're right-handed, if you're drawing on the opposite side of the page, it's kind of cumbersome. Next up, let's talk about watercolors. For watercolors, I recommend quality over quantity. You're gonna find so many different types of watercolors on the market. This is where it's important to pay attention to these kind of guidelines. There's a lot of bad watercolors out there. I am a firm believer that a small set of good quality watercolors is gonna be so much better in the long run for your artist versus a large, cheap set. Another rule for you is that tubes are generally better quality than pans. This isn't true for artists who are shopping around and know what to look for, but if you don't really know about art supplies, I would stick to tubes versus pans because there are a lot more pan sets that are terrible quality versus tube sets. My first option for you when buying a budget watercolor is to buy 2 or 3 tubes of a nicer watercolor brand for your artist. Chances are, if they work in watercolors, they have something that they are just using in general, and buying 1 or 2 or 3 tubes of a good quality paint is really going to improve their painting experience because they can add it to their palette. I recommend grabbing Daniel Smith or M. Graham paints. They're $5 to $10 per tube. So if you don't really have a large budget, buy 1 or 2 tubes of paint and colors that you see your artist generally using or gravitating. If this person has expressed interest in trying watercolors, I recommend the Art Philosophy Confections watercolor palette, the classics or any other of the color stories, but a classic set is gonna be one that the artist can use and mix a lot of colors with. So in general, if your artist doesn't have the basic colors already, it's a good place to start. With watercolors, I think spending a little bit more money will show you a vast improvement in quality. So I have a lot of good paints in this mid-price range category. The first that I recommend is the Sennelier La Petite. It's a set of 12. Sennelier paints themselves are renowned in the artist community. They're made with honey and they're French paints, so even a student grade set, I think your artist is going to love. My next suggestion is to get the Daniel Smith Essentials. It's just a couple of colors, but they are such good quality. They're professional artist grade quality. They are so great for mixing a multitude of colors. They're not that expensive when you consider they are the top of the line paints that you can gift somebody. Lastly, if you want to gift your artist something with a lot more colors, the Paul Rubens 24 color set is a great option. It's one that I have and I use. I don't have any complaints with it. It's just not going to be as nice of quality as the M. Graham or Daniel Smith paints that I'm recommending otherwise. If you want a ball here for your watercolor artist, I recommend the Daniel Smith set of 10 colors. You could also get the Holbein set of 24 colors. These are tiny tubes, but it is a really fun set. I have it. It was my first nice watercolor set, and I can attest that they do work really well. The most expensive watercolors I'm going to recommend are the M. Graham set of 10. They're really nice quality, and I think your artist would absolutely love receiving this set. What to stay away from with watercolors is watercolor pencils. They're generally gimmicky. If your artist enjoys them, you'll know that, or they can sort of buy that for themselves because they're not too expensive. I see a lot of non-artists be excited about these because they sound so cool. I would stay away from those and just get a regular set of watercolors or watercolor tubes. I would also stay away from anything that has a lot of colors, especially bright colors like pastel tones, like a bright pink or a lavender. A super fast crash course is that nice watercolors don't have white pigment added to them. They're translucent. So if you see a set with a lot of bright pastel colors, in general, they have white added to them, and in general, it's a little lower quality. It's a lot of pigments mixed, and the painting will be muddier than if you just used a smaller set of transparent good quality watercolors. For watercolor paper, we have a lot of budget options actually. First off, the Fabriano Studio watercolor paper, super cheap and it's pretty good. My second option is the Canson XL watercolor paper. This is one that I love and I use all the time when I'm painting. It's not even expensive, but I definitely think it's a good quality paper, especially for the price. For a mid-budget, I recommend the Arches watercolor pad. It's great quality and definitely a huge name in the art community, but this pad is not very expensive. If you're interested in getting watercolor sketchbook, the Stillman and Byrne Beta sketchbook is a great option. I love it myself. And lastly, if you want something exciting and cute, the Monster sketchbooks are super trendy. They have beautiful cover designs made by a lot of different artists, and there is customizability on the cover. You can add the artist's name. They're super cute. I've linked a design that I like down below. If you're balling on watercolor paper, I have a couple of options for you. Firstly, the Legion Yupo paper is extremely funky. It's synthetic paper and it doesn't absorb the water. So if your artist likes to try out a lot of different techniques, this one is a really fun one for them to work with. Legion also has the Stonehenge Aqua paper. They make a nice watercolor paper. I recommend it as well. And lastly, if you want to ball, getting an Arches watercolor paper block is going to be so nice for an artist. They're pretty expensive and a treat for an artist to purchase for themselves. So I think your watercolor artists would appreciate having it. Watercolor paper comes in cold and hot press. Cold press is going to be a little bit rougher. Hot press is going to be smoother. So again, if your artist draws with a lot of texture and detail, get a cold press paper. And if your artist has a lot of fine, thin, delicate lines, go with a hot press paper. If you want to complete the set, you can buy some watercolor brushes. We have a couple of budget options. The Grace Art brush set of 12 is only like $5. I still have a couple of these brushes and they do just fine. They're okay brushes. The Princeton series 9100. These are good brushes too. They're the budget option, but if you want to spend a little bit more money on brushes, I have a couple other suggestions I recommend highly. This Treacle Nature brush set is a good one if you're not really sure what type of brushes to get for your artist. It has a couple of general options, and the one that I totally recommend for you that I absolutely love, and it's such a treat when I use them and if I get the option to buy them, is the Princeton Velvet Touch brushes. They're so wonderful and they're so nice to use. They work so well. Out of all of these brushes, these are the one I would recommend getting for your artist. They're so good. Lastly, if you want to spend a little bit more money, you could get a bunch of the Velvet Touch brushes if you'd like, but if you want to buy a set, Alyssa Mies has a 7-piece Treacle brush set that you can purchase. These are great quality brushes. I recommend this set. Treacle has great quality art supplies and they're going to be linked down below. Let's talk about colored pencils. I think these are the most fun supplies to purchase for your artist. There are a lot of good pencils and a lot of bad ones. I'm not going to talk about all the good ones because there's a large variety of great quality pencils, but these are the ones I would recommend myself. For a budget option, I recommend the Prismacolor Botanical set. They're a nicer color story than just the classics, and if your artist uses colored pencils in general, they probably have the classic colors anyway. For the mid-tier, I recommend the Prismacolor Highlighting and Shading set of 24 or the Caran d'Ache set of 12. Caran d'Ache is a really luxe pencil brand, and so it's fun to be able to gift it, especially if you don't have the highest budget. This set is not inexpensive, but Caran d'Ache is a lovely brand, so the present will feel more expensive than it actually cost. Lastly, if you have a lot of budget to spend on pencils, I recommend the Caran d'Ache set of 40. They're pretty expensive. If you have the budget, the Holbein set of 50 is fantastic and very cute. Very trendy, very Instagrammable. It's my first pick personally. What to stay away from when buying colored pencils? Big sets, and honestly, anything that's not brand name. In general, I think you can find a lot of good art supplies that are not brand name, but when it comes to colored pencils, I think there's a lot of terrible quality pencils out on the market that are not brand name. If you don't purchase any of the ones that I recommended, there are a lot of big brand names that make colored pencils, so you will have no trouble finding good ones, but I would stay away from anything that's like an Amazon brand. If you'd like to buy some colored pencil paper to go along with the colored pencils, you can either buy one of the sketchbooks I recommended just for the pencil drawing, or you can buy toned paper. This Canson graduate paper is toned paper at a pretty affordable price. I've never tried it before, but I would buy this for somebody who needed toned paper. I definitely trust that it's good. If you're trying to pay a little bit more, this Arches cream paper is good. They also make a tan paper. Lastly, I recommend the Rembrandt tone paper. It's good quality, not very expensive. When it comes to oil paints, I beg of you, don't purchase anything that is water mixable oil paints. That does not exist. That's not real. For your intents and purposes, that's a gimmick and it's not a good quality paint. Also avoid the big easel sets. The ones that come with an easel, they're generally very terrible quality unless they're a brand like Sennelier, but then it's extremely expensive. I have a good amount of great quality options for you to purchase at like the best prices. Just like I said with the watercolors, if you have a budget, I definitely recommend buying 2 or 3 colors instead of a set. So 2 or 3 colors that are of a good quality will go farther for an artist versus a set of cheaper supplies. The Gamblin 1980 line is a student grade set and the paints are generally $6 to $15, so not too expensive. The more expensive paints are going to be higher quality paints with more unique pigments, so you can find a couple like 2 or 3 $6 tubes to gift your artist. If you'd like to buy an introductory set, Gamblin makes a great set in the 1980 line for students. It's not very expensive and it's good quality. I have a lot of these paints myself and I definitely recommend it. This next set is great bang for your buck. The M. Grant solvent-free oil set has 2 free mediums. I recommend this set probably most out of all of the ones I'm going to be saying for the oil paints, just because it comes with a 2 medium and it's not very expensive. It's great quality for not that high of a price. If you want to buy something nice for your artist, the Gamblin introductory set, the high quality paints, not the student grade, is a good place to start. I also recommend the Old Holland set of 10. Old Holland is like the Rolls Royce of oil paints. They're such good quality and usually very expensive. I found the set on Blick for $200 and then I, wanted to see if there was a cheaper price. Jackson's has it for $88. I don't know why or how. If you're interested in savings, this is like the craziest sale I've ever seen because generally it's like $200. So grab this if you want to buy something nicer for your artist. For oil painting brushes, Princeton has the 9416 brushes. There's a set of 4 that you can purchase for not very much money. Brushes can be extremely expensive, honestly, even more so than oil paints. So my mid-tier is gonna be $60. That's like a lot of money. But this silver brush Grand Prix set of 5 is great quality and brushes last a lifetime if you take care of them. Lastly, if you want a ball for brushes, several sizes of the Da Vinci Sable brushes could run you a lot of money. There are brushes that are worth just $160 just for the one brush. So maybe 2 or 3 nice brushes for your artist. Lastly, for oil painting services, prices go up by size and depth rather than a lot of quality. So I'm still recommending higher quality supplies here, but they can be definitely affordable if you buy a smaller size. They can be very expensive if you buy a larger size. So that's up to you. The Ampersand Value series is great. I have so many of these. They're great for practicing and they're not very expensive at all. The Ampersand Gesso board is also fantastic. I love it myself. And if you want to get a canvas for your artist, the Masterpiece Monterey canvas, the cotton canvas, is great quality and I think your artist would love it. If I would recommend what to stay away from when it comes to oil painting surfaces, I'd stay away from anything that's pre-stretched and very cheap. So canvases that come in big packs that are super cheap, anything you find on Amazon, I would kind of pass on it. Good canvases are stretched well and tightly, and a lot of times cheaper ones have a lot of give, and if you want to make them usable and better quality, you have to do a lot of treatment to them. If you can't afford a larger canvas that's good quality, I would recommend going with a gesso board or a board in general because you can get nicer quality ones for a good price. Lastly, I have a couple of art accessories. I don't really know where else to put them, but they are kind of supplies that your artist probably would use, would like. They're cheap. here we go. Erasers, polymer erasers, and kneaded erasers are definitely appreciated. I lose my erasers all the time and always have to buy a ton more. Palette paper is great for oil painters, and once you're done, you can dispose of that paper. So it's a lot less mess and a lot less cleanup that you have to do when you're oil painting. Ceramic palettes are great for watercolors. They're super cheap. There can be a lot of really boutique and cute ones made by small businesses. And there's also like cheap ones that you can buy on Amazon or on Blick Supplies. The possibilities are really endless for little ceramic palettes. A great one for pencil artists that use traditional pencils, not mechanical pencils, are pencil lengtheners. You know, when you get to the end of a pencil and it's super stubby and short, pencil lengtheners can help you use up the entire pencil. You just put it on the end and you have a whole new grip for that tiny pencil. Washi tape is great. I have a couple of affordable options linked down below. I love washi tape and your artist probably will too. They'll use it for journaling if nothing else. Masking fluid for watercolor artists, and even gold ink for any artist that works with traditional media could be fun. Lastly, any classical art books or anatomy books, I have a couple linked down in the description that I could recommend to a beginner artist that wants to learn a little bit more about anatomy or fine art in general. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it had some useful information. If you have any other suggestions, if you have like really nice budget options or any supplies that I've recommended and you're like, whoa, that one sucks, let me know down below. I hope this was helpful for you and that you stick around on my channel to watch more videos from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and share this video with somebody who could buy you supplies, who could buy somebody else supplies. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.